Hi, I'm Darren Race. I'd just like to give you a little bit of an overview and insight into how we feel about staff utilisation and that being positioned in terms of leveraging value from your most important asset in your organisation, and that's your people. So workforce utilisation indicates how much contributory time is a measure of how much time you've got available. So if you've got staff working 40 hours a week, then how much time are you actually getting which is contributory out of that 40 hours? And you might be quite surprised by some of these slides where we actually show you some statistics in terms of what businesses typically get and what they potentially should be getting through this particular process. At the end of the day, everybody's striving to be more competitive than anybody else in their market, and that's why this is so important. 85% essentially represents world class. So if you had employees giving you 85% contribution their normal day, their normal week, that would be regarded as world class. To put that into monetary terms, for every £1,000 of payroll, you're going to get £850 of value out of the employee. And payroll for most organisations is the most significant cost within the business. You might be surprised to hear that typically, when this is being measured across a number of sectors internationally, it comes out at 55%. So most organisations are actually getting 55% staff workforce utilisation. That equates to £550 of value for every £1,000 of payroll. And this is quite alarming. There are some organisations that have been measured where it's actually only 24%. So for every £1,000 of payroll, you're getting £240 of value. Now I'm sure nobody wants to be performing at that level. The question that this makes you think about and ask is, what's our level of staff workforce utilisation? And are we actually leveraging value in our organisation from our approach and utilisation of our people and workforce? This also brings into it workforce or employee engagement as part of this particular process. So where are you on that scale? Where would you like to be on that scale? The next illustration shows how this actually builds, and hopefully this will make sense to you. In a typical organisation, we have a pyramid, the conventional organisation, with executives at the top, then we have heads of department, then we have line managers and supervisors, and we have operational people within the business. The area of the triangle represents the number of people within your organisation, so this could be 100 people in an organisation. What we quite often see in organisations are people being pulled down to fight the issues and the fires of the departments and functions beneath them. And if that's happening too frequently, that would suggest that you haven't got an optimised workforce, that you're not leveraging value from every level of that pyramid. And that's often because we haven't defined what good looks like at every level of that pyramid. What does a good operator look like? What does a good line manager supervisor look like? What does a good head of department look like? What does a good director and manager of the business actually look like within the organisation? Technically, behaviourally, from a compliance perspective, from a leadership perspective, what do these people look like? What do they perform like? And if we haven't characterised that, then people will actually set their own standards. The green triangle represents 85% staff utilisation. So what you can see there is you've got space around the periphery of the triangle. This is lost capability, time and capacity. You can't get that back. The yellow triangle represents 55%, which is typical. And what you started to notice here is at the executive level, you hear of people working in the business, not on the business. The role of directors and executives is to work on the business, not in the business. But now you can see they're actually being pulled inside of the operational activity within the business. This isn't what they're meant to be doing. There's nobody leading or creating the strategy, the vision for the organisation. And that's because of this pull-down effect. Funnily enough, the pull-down effect isn't a consequence or the blame to the people beneath them. It's because the leaders and managers of the people below them haven't actually set the standards that people should be working at. And that's your 24%. So you can see here this is a very inefficient organisation. But to take that a point further, the interesting parameter or point about this is if you've got people working at 24% or 55%, why are you recruiting in your organisation? Because you've got capacity within your existing workforce to move people and progress people, develop people to be more proficient and competent than they currently are. And the other thing is what we do in organisations, we quite often promote a competent technical person and move them by design to be less competent and less proficient into a different role. So we might move somebody who's a technical expert to become a leader or manager of a team, and we take somebody from a position of 85% staff utilisation capability to potentially 55% or to 24% even, because we've decided to actually do that. The idea behind a good approach with staff and workforce utilisation is to make sure everybody in the organisation is trained, competent and compliant with the standard that you've defined, and then we can actually start to get this pull-up effect. Instead of people being drawn down, we can actually do things like talent management, succession planning, and start to build and scale an organisation which is extremely efficient, and from a customer point of view, an excellent organisation to work with. I hope you've enjoyed that. I hope it's been useful. I'm Darren Race from Think 11.